We out here, boys. Hey, my name is Jim, and I'm a student from the US, and I have made the life-changing decision to study abroad in Chile. First and foremost, I want to discuss one of the main reasons why I'm not only vlogging, but I'm even able to study here in Chile, and that is the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship. So the Benjamin A. Gilman Scholarship is really awesome because it provides low-income individuals with the opportunity to study abroad, and the requirements are actually pretty simple. Firstly, you have to be a US citizen. Secondly, you have to be an undergraduate student in good standing with your university. Thirdly, you have to be a receiver of the federal Pell Grant. Then, finally, you have to be already applying to or in the process of applying to a study abroad program. So scholarship aside, a little bit more about me. I am 19 years old. I am from North Carolina, and at my home university, I am studying biology pre-med. Now, I chose to study abroad in Chile for two main reasons. Firstly was because a lot of people told me that Chile is in many ways very similar to the US in terms of their modernization as well as their cultural structures. The second reason why I chose Chile is because I also heard that there was an extremely high amount of diversity, not only in the climate and geography, but also the organisms that live here and the people who inhabit them. If you do not know, Chile is an extremely long country. It has everything from the driest of deserts to penguins. So I arrived in Chile on January 10th, and let me tell you, that was quite the experience. So despite me being 19 years old, this was not only the first time that I had flown by myself, but also the first time that I had went outside of the country, like anywhere. So the flight was, in total, I spent about 10 hours in the air. I took a plane from North Carolina to Atlanta, Georgia to meet up with my program group, and that is the USAC program group. And then we went from Atlanta, Georgia to Chile, and that was a 9.5-hour flight, I believe. Either way, I slept through most of it. But for the parts that I did not sleep through, the flight was absolutely insane. We had so much turbulence, it literally felt like at times that we were going to crash. Like, I was hopping up and down out of my seat, things were flying everywhere, it was absolutely madness. Even still, the flight was extremely beautiful. Once we finally did get within the Chilean borders, I did look outside of my window and I had the amazing pleasure of being able to have a view of some of the deserts. I believe they are the Atacama deserts, and they are absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Eventually though, I did land, and with me being with my program group, we all landed together and we had the extremely fun time of going through customs and border security and all of that. I think we waited in line for upwards of an hour and a half just to get our passports approved and such, and then after that we had to wait through customs to get our bags checked and stuff like that too. But airport craziness aside, it was extremely fun. Eventually we did leave the airport and we took a big group bus to the program site where we would be essentially going to school for the next 4 months. On the bus, I noticed one of the first things about Chile that surprised me, and that was they have green police cars. Like, their police cars are green and white, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Eventually, we did get to our program site, which is essentially where we were going to spend the next 4 months studying, and we got there and had a small little orientation to kind of say, you know, congratulations, you've made it to Chile, and to sort of orient us and let us know what we were going to be doing for the next few days there. Immediately after that, we went to have lunch, sort of as a, you know, getting used to the food type thing and getting to know the rest of the members in the program as well. And I can assure you, I was extremely surprised. It was far from what I expected, I suppose. Seeing how this is Latin America, I guess my anticipation was that there would be, you know, tacos and burritos and Mexican food. So we went in the restaurant and we were sat down at the table, and waiting for us were juices of a fruit that I'm honestly not sure of, but it tasted amazing. And then we also had little salads kind of as an appetizer to start us with. We were then each asked if we wanted to have a variation of chicken and rice, chicken and potatoes, or a salad and rice. With me being a vegetarian, I obviously chose the salad and rice option, while some of my other program members chose the chicken and rice option. Now, when they said that there was a chicken and rice option, I immediately imagined the ACP that I know of from the United States, but that was not the case. Instead, what you got was a large chicken leg, if it was a leg, and a huge mound of rice. That's not to say though that any of it was bad. Everything tasted absolutely amazing, and I was still thoroughly surprised once again that despite its plain appearance, it tasted amazing. After lunch, they took us back to the program site to finish up our orientation, and then the very next day, we began our tour of Santiago. So during our city tour, we went to go see a couple of different places around the city. One of the first couple things that they oriented us with was how to use the metro system. Now, out of fear of getting my phone stolen out of my hand, as we have been told on multiple occasions that pickpocketing and stealing was a thing that was very real, I did not get any footage of the metro, but it was extremely clean, especially since all I had ever seen of metros and subways and things like that were from movies and things where they were always extremely dirty and rickety and just absolutely insane. Well, the metros in Santiago were not like this at all. They were absolutely clean. It was hot and kind of, humid there in the metro system, but everything was still really smooth. So after getting us acquainted with the metro, they took us to one of the more popular areas in Santiago, and that is La Moneda. So in La Moneda, we went to go see the Palacio de la Moneda, and that is translated to be the Palace of La Moneda. And that is kind of in a way like the White House is in America. It's basically where the president lives, and it's huge and extremely well guarded and absolutely amazing. They also fly these flags to indicate whether or not the president is in, and I think that's really cool too. So then after visiting La Moneda and viewing all of the beautiful things that it had to offer, we went directly to a museum. So in the museum, we were able to view some of the historical artifacts from early Chile and kind of some of the different artisanal pieces and things like that that they had produced at that time. It was absolutely beautiful and was definitely a must-see thing, especially since I absolutely adore museums and I adore art museums even more, and this kind of had a beautiful mix of the two, displaying the art while also giving a lot of the backstory to that art and why it was important to the culture at the time. So our next stop on our city tour was Santiago's Plaza de Armas. So the cool thing about Chile is that every city has what's called a Plaza de Armas, and this is essentially like their big square where they held their weapons and things like that. It's kind of like their main stronghold area in each city, and each city's Plaza de Armas is historically relevant in one way or another. So in Santiago's Plaza de Armas, you'll find quite a few things. One of the more notable things that was pointed out to us was this cool little golden map where you kind of got to see the way that early Chile was set up. Also located in the Plaza de Armas was one of Santiago's largest cathedrals. Now, at the time of us getting there, the Pope was due to come within the next few days, so unfortunately, we weren't able to go inside of it, but it was still absolutely beautiful just to see the architecture that went into it. And to keep up our fun-fueled day, we also decided to go and visit Cerro Santa Lucia, which translates to Santa Lucia Hill. Now, Santa Lucia Hill is extremely historically relevant to Santiago and Chile itself because that is where it is said that Pedro de Valdivia, which was one of the Spanish conquistadors at the time, set up shop and decided to claim that spot as Santiago. He claimed the Santiago city right there. The Santa Lucia Hill was absolutely gorgeous. I had the opportunity along with my group to climb all the way up to the top and be able to get a really good view of the entirety of Santiago, and honestly the view was absolutely breathtaking. It was something that I don't think I will ever forget in my life. Now, to all of our dismay, after the climb up Cerro Santa Lucia, we did have to end our tour there, but that did not mean that we were ending our fun by any means. So the next day, me and some of my friends decided that we wanted to kind of see a bit more of Santiago, and we ended up finding a zoo. And let me tell you, that was quite an experience. So the zoo that we decided to visit was the National Zoo, located in one of Chile's many regions known as Providencia, and it was absolutely beautiful. Once you got to the very top of the zoo, it did offer one of the most breathtaking views of Santiago that you could get. So to continue our fun and exploration of Santiago before our classes had to start, some friends and I decided to go hiking and climb up Cerro Manquehue. So Cerro Manquehue stands a staggering 1,635 meters tall. That's about 5,364 feet for us United States people. Now going up the hill to start was pretty easy, but we did very quickly find that the incline increased exponentially and we grew more and more tired by the second. But lucky for us, Cerro Manquehue has a smaller and much easier twin located right next to it, known as Cerro Manquehuito. Cerro Manquehuito stands a staggering 1,316 meters tall, or 4,317 feet for us US people. Now that is still a pretty big hike up, and trust me, it was definitely very difficult. However, it was also extremely worth it. The view that we had was absolutely staggering, and along the way we got to see some of Chile's very diverse types of vegetation, along with cactuses, flowers, different types of bushes and succulents, and it was all extremely beautiful. But getting to the top was an extreme accomplishment for me, and I will most definitely at a later date be tackling the bigger Cerro Manquehue. So only a couple days after hiking up the very large Cerro Manquehuito, our classes did start, and I finally began to settle into my everyday regimen that I am now going to be doing for the next 4 months. So with my big expose about everything that I've been doing over, I can truly tell you that so far everything has been absolutely amazing. Now, a couple of the other things that I haven't covered yet, I am staying with the host family, and my host mom is absolutely amazing. She spoils me absolutely rotten. Like, goodness knows when I get home, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with myself. Every morning I wake up to a full breakfast. I mean full breakfast. I get half a loaf of bread, a big bowl of yogurt, which she mixes in fresh fruit, and at the very bottom she puts mashed bananas, because bananas are my favorite fruit, as well as chia seeds and oatmeal on the top, and blueberries. Then to go along with all of that, I also get a big piping hot cup of tea. So yeah, I'm definitely being spoiled. But then even more than that, I also get dinner every night, which she hand makes, and she is an amazing cook. But with that being said, one of my biggest adjustments so far in Chile has undoubtedly been the food. Now, one of the things that I'm sure if you look around you will hear a lot about is how bland Chile's food is. To an extent, I can say that I definitely, exaggerated it in my mind. I thought that everything would taste like cardboard and salt, but it did not. It actually has some flavor. I think it's more just of an issue of everything sort of tastes the same. Now, one of the things that my host mom does for me is she tries very hard to cook some of the more traditional Chilean dishes. And one thing that I have noticed is that all of those contain an exorbitant amount of corn. I mean, corn is everywhere. There's this thing called a pastel de choclo, and it is literally a chicken pot pie, but instead of the crust, it's corn. And the filling is corn. And, there's vegetables and chicken and things like that in there, and yeah, it's a lot of corn. And another thing to mention about their food is their desserts. Now, I have a huge, and I mean huge, sweet tooth. And I am so disappointed to say that the majority of their desserts just simply don't cut it for me. It almost seems like they decide to not put sugar in it. Like, a dessert is totally fine if it looks like a cake, smells like a cake, but when you eat it, it's just bread. there is literally like no sugar. But I was lucky enough to find a cafe that sells these cheesecakes, and although they are a little bit expensive, it is absolutely amazing and more than satisfies my fix for sweets and things of that nature. Well, I guess that's it. I think I've covered everything. I'm sure I'll end up thinking of more stuff, and I will definitely cover it in the next video. And this is a really long video as it is, which is something I really wanted to avoid, but oh well. This is what I get for trying to shove every single thing I did in an entire month into the span of one vlog. All right then, well, bye.